The same weekend Leopold Aschenbrenner was getting married, the hedge fund he built was being torn apart, and the banks that financed it were racing to sell everything he owned before Monday. He was 24 years old. 6 months earlier, his fund had returned 439%. Now it was collapsing in days. And here's the part that should stop you. This isn't the story of a man who got it wrong. He got it right. That's what makes it terrifying. And it's a mistake you can make with $1,000, not just billions, because betting everything on something you're sure about and being unable to stop is one of the oldest mistakes there is. Leopold just did it with borrowed billions. By the end, you'll know how a kid with no track record raised billions, why his own safety net set him on fire, and whether he walked away with anything. Let's get into it. So who is he? Not who you'd picture running a $45 billion fund. Leopold was a physician's son from Germany who finished high school at 15, enrolled at Columbia University the same year, and graduated at 19 at the very top of his class with a degree in math and economics. He took a job at the philanthropy arm of the crypto exchange FTX, then watched FTX detonate in one of the biggest frauds in history. From there, he joined OpenAI on the super alignment team, the group whose entire job was keeping powerful AI under control. In 2024, OpenAI pushed him out. The company said he leaked confidential information. He says he raised security concerns and got punished for it. Either way, freeze the frame. A young man, no professional trading record, freshly fired. On paper, nobody should hand this person $1. But then he writes something that changes everything. In June 2024, he publishes a 165-page essay called Situational Awareness. Its argument is enormous. Superintelligent AI is arriving faster than almost anyone believes, and it's about to reprice the entire stock market. In Silicon Valley, that essay becomes required reading. And here's the move that matters. He doesn't just predict the future. He opens a hedge fund to bet real money on it, and according to the Financial Times, powerful backers pour cash in. They're not buying his track record. He doesn't have one. They're buying his story. And that's the part you already understand, even if you've never bought a single share. You've watched someone get rich or famous on a story before just because they sound like they can see what's coming. That belief is what people funded. And that belief is exactly what would blow up. At first, it doesn't just work. It explodes. Lock onto one number, because it's about to become the most important number in this video. The Financial Times reported that in the first half of 2026, situational awareness was up 439%. Not 4%, not 40, 439. The Wall Street Journal reported the fund had gained more than 1,000% since he launched it 2 years earlier. Money floods in. By early July, CNBC and Bloomberg put the fund's assets near $45 billion. A man who had never professionally managed $1 was suddenly running one of the most talked about funds on Wall Street. Hold on to that 439%, because in about 2 minutes, it flips from the best thing that ever happened to him into the exact reason he detonates. So how did he do it? 2 moves. First, he bet heavily on the companies building the AI boom, chip makers and data center names like SK Hynix, CoreWeave, and Nebius. Second, and this is the one that matters, he borrowed to make those bets bigger. The Wall Street Journal reported the fund used leverage as high as 400%, 4 times the cash it actually held. Leverage is simple. Picture betting your whole paycheck on one hand of blackjack, then asking the casino to lend you 3 more paychecks to stack on top. When you win enormous. That's how you get to 439% in half a year. But leverage has an evil twin, and the twin always shows up. And when the AI trade wobbled in July 2026, the twin arrived. The same borrowing that built that 439% runs identically in reverse. As his positions fell, the losses multiplied at the exact same speed the gains had. Stocks he was leveraged into, names like Nebius, SanDisk, Micron, and CoreWeave, each shed more than a third of their value in a single month. On a small bet, a drop like that stings. On 4 times leverage, it can erase everything you have. Because Aschenbrenner wasn't only betting AI would rise, he also placed bets against other stocks, positions that were supposed to work as a hedge. Insurance, the bet that pays you back when your main bet catches fire. But the Wall Street Journal described what he really had by an old trading name, a Texas hedge. That's when both sides of your book are secretly the same bet. His longs and his shorts were all, underneath, one giant wager on the AI story. So when sentiment turned, both sides lost at the same instant. His fire insurance burned down at the same moment as his house. And if watching a genius go from hero to wreckage this fast is the kind of story you want more of, take 1 second and hit subscribe. It genuinely helps me keep making these. Now back to it, because this next part is the mechanism that actually ends careers. And now the losses stop being a mistake and become a machine. When you borrow to invest, the banks lending the money hold your positions as collateral. When that collateral drops, they want cash immediately. The Wall Street Journal reported that Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan were all working with the fund to meet those margin demands. Aschenbrenner didn't have the cash, so the selling began. But selling into a falling market pushes prices down further, which forces even more selling. Days are all it takes. And that's the cruel timing of this whole story. The very weekend it was happening, he was scheduled to marry Avital Balwit, the chief of staff to Dario Amodei, the chief executive officer of the AI company Anthropic. Sit with that image. The happiest weekend of your life, while the empire you built is being dismantled in the next room. Then someone got rich off the wreckage. Staring at collapse at the end of July, Aschenbrenner cut a deal overnight. He sold the bulk of his public stock portfolio, reported by the Wall Street Journal, at around $16 billion to Ken Griffin's Citadel, one of the most powerful trading firms on Wall Street, at below market prices. Silicon Valley's AI prophet, handing his book to the ultimate Wall Street shark, in the dark, at a fire sale price. And it worked out beautifully for Griffin. CNBC reported that Citadel went on to post its best month in years, largely off the very stocks it scooped up from a desperate 24-year-old. When the dust settled, Bloomberg reported the fund's assets had fallen from around $45 billion to about $10 billion. So, was he just an idiot? Here's the uncomfortable answer. He was basically right. The AI stocks he loved genuinely did keep running in the weeks after, and he still got destroyed. Here's why, in plain English. Lose half your money, and you don't need to make half of it back. You need to double what is left, just to break even. Losses dig a deeper hole than the same size gain climbs out of. Pile leverage on top, and the swings get so violent that this drag quietly eats you alive, even when your average bet looks like genius on paper. Finance people have a cold little name for this. They call it volatility drag. Everyone else has a simpler one. He bet too big. So did he walk away with nothing? This is the twist almost nobody expects. No, because while the public stocks were being liquidated, Aschenbrenner quietly held on to his private bets, and the biggest one was a stake in Anthropic, the exact AI company his fiancée helps run. Bloomberg valued that single stake at around $5 billion, with Anthropic reportedly heading toward a public listing that could value it even higher. And within weeks of the blow-up, Bloomberg reported he was already back, placing a fresh $400 million bet. The man who lost one of the largest fortunes on Wall Street in days didn't walk away broke. Not even close. So go back to that wedding weekend. The real story was never that a young man got unlucky. He built a machine that could turn the greatest run on Wall Street into a fire sale in a matter of days, and then he stood at the altar while it ran. Being right about the future and staying solvent turned out to be two completely different games. If you want to see the last time a trader turned billions into almost nothing in about 48 hours, I broke down the Bill Huang collapse, the closest thing to a warning label this story ever had. It's right here, and I'll see you in that one.